At this time, I'd like to elaborate on the second half of our program, which is the hoodie.
Today I'm just going to give you a very short portion of the Herosamard and make it more personal, how it affected people and things that happened. The other day I was watching something from National Geographic. I can't watch those shows very often because they're so cruel. Nature is cruel. And I was thinking, you know, this is how it is when it's just the animals and they don't have the feelings that we have. It's the survival of the fittest, and they're so cruel. But then I was reading the books about Herosamard, and it was just as cruel as what was happening in the ocean with the fish, where their lives were constantly in danger. So today I'm going to talk about 3 different items about the Herosamard. One of them is going to be, it was so ancient and so modern, things that were happening in Van. It was like a dichotomy. The other one was, what was the attitude of the people, the villagers mainly, and then how it changed. And the third part is about ordinary people. To be able to give this talk, I was looking at 3 books. One is by Onnig Mkhitaryan. This was very interesting because he was the secretary of the Defense Council. So not only did he have to take minutes, but he also had to keep a diary of what was going on. So he gives a lot of details about it. The next one was Haid Gosoyan. He was a teacher. He was also a member of the Defense Council. And the third one was a Kuratzi. He was from Shushansk. And this one was very interesting because I'd never read this one before. Keram Vartanyan was his name. And what's so interesting about him is that not only does he tell everything from the villagers' point of view, but he was also one of those who, after the defense fell, well, the defense was fine, but afterwards when they had to leave, he went through Iraq. And this would have been very important for a lot of us because that's how our parents came here. They went through Iraq, while some of them went to Armenia. So his book was very interesting. He was 18 years old at the time, so he knew exactly what was going on. So the first one is ancient yet modern. Now, you can't get any ancient than Van. It was Urartu before. It was the capital of Urartu. One time I was giving a talk to some American friends, and one of them came afterwards and said, here you are standing here and you are talking to us of ancient times. And she was sort of in awe of this. And this is how Van is when you look at it. It can't get any more interior in Asia Minor than Van. If you go a few more miles, you're ending up in different countries. It's so far from Istanbul. It's so far from Europe. And yet, some of the things these people did was amazing. Now, this is kind of funny. My brother Hadad comes over for Surj very often. And since we've been talking about Van, he keeps saying this. You know, he's the photographer. And he says, now, how did they have all these pictures? This is amazing. They had to have film. They had to have the chemicals to develop this. Well, there's really more than that. They even built a cannon. They built powder for their cartridges, getting everything together from the pharmacy, from the blacksmiths, from the jewelers. So everyone had something to do over there. So this was ancient, yet they were modern. You know, they had the chemicals. And I, being a teacher, I'm always amazed that they had a printing press. This is in the late 1800s. I mean, how many cities in Europe had that? And Istanbul, of course, had it, but not too many had the printing press. They had a school for girls. Now, that is really amazing. While people here women couldn't even vote, they had a school for girls in Van at the time. So these were really awesome things. It was like a dichotomy. They were the ones in the villages who would never revolt, no matter how hard their life got. And yet they were the ones who stood up to the Turks and who fought for a whole month until the Russian army arrived. So these were like opposites that were happening over there. When the Russian general Nikolaev got to Van after the defense and he took over, he wanted to see their facilities, and he went and he looked and he said, have some of you been in the army? They said no. Have you been in the Russian army? No. Have you been in any army? No. And yet everything they had done, they had been able to do warfare against a regular Turkish army and of course the Kurdish tribes that were coming at them. So these were awesome things about Van. They created a defense council, and they created it in no time. This defense council had to take care of a city under siege. They had never taken care of a city before. They had never had a government before. And here's what they had to take care of. Not only war, but police, supplies of food, distribution of food, and plus all these migrating people coming from the villages so they wouldn't die. Like about 10,000 people came from the villages to Van because they would have been killed otherwise. So there were a lot of things to worry about. Their health, their food, pestilence. A lot of things could happen when all these people were together. And I would like to read to you here some of the orders from this group. This was kind of interesting. They would all send out orders, and one of them was, verify all reports. Must be signed. The reports must be signed by leaders, and they are accountable for unfounded rumor. Now you would think, why would they say that? But just think, here they are under siege in a little city. Someone with rumors could create panic. So there was a lot of wisdom with these people. And then they would say they needed shovels and picks, you know, for the ramparts and for the walls or for digging trenches. They would say, return them every night. Do not waste any ammunition because there wasn't enough ammunition. Make them count. And now the modern thought in this, never revile the religion of the enemy. Wouldn't you want Turks to have done that for us? But that wasn't to happen. So these were the dichotomies I was telling you about.